welcome back for the 17th time.
Yes.
On the podcast.
We need to record for mine. I was just way too lazy. Like sometimes I get ahead in recording and then I'm unlike you like get ahead and you're like, you're on your shit. I'm like, oh my God, now I can sit back and do nothing for 3 weeks.
I am like the opposite. If I don't have everything batched, I just get really stressed.
Yeah, I feel you. But I'm also here in LA. So like, I feel like I can just be like, I'm going to come in tomorrow.
Yeah,
and then I
exactly. I actually don't have a choice, but even when I was here, I was just, I don't know. It's an anxiety thing. Like if I don't procrastinate anything. Like even in school, I never procrastinated because it just
gives you anxiety.
Yeah.
But more than you already have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Exactly.
I have the depression element that works against me.
Yeah.
So like I have this push and a pull. Like it's like manic. Like I get up in the morning and I'm like, fuck, I'm up. And then I'm take my antidepressant, then I'm fine. And then the anxiety hits me and you get manic and I do everything at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe I can work that out later.
Yeah. I now have just made myself so structured to where I just don't have a choice.
That's so smart. I really do need to be more like that. That's a goal for this year.
I mean, there's pros and cons, you know?
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about a lot of things, but your European lifestyle.
My European lifestyle.
You really adopted it. Can you give a little background, though?
Yes. Okay. So as we're talking about anxiety and depression, I have always been serious. Like my entire life I've been so serious. And there's certain things in my life, like I had to be serious for, like we discussed, my dad was in the military, like when he was away and I was the oldest child, like you do have to grow up really fast in those situations, especially like if a parent is facing like combat. And I think the older I get, the more I realize like how intensely that time in my life from like 0 to 12 affected who I am as a person. But I've always just been really serious. I'm also the oldest. I'm type A. But in then high school, I started being a lot less so. And I think that's also, like I said, kind of coincided with depression as well, because you just get like tired. You don't want to do anything. You have no motivation. But anyway, then I got to be a little less serious. But I've just always taken things so seriously. Again, like growing up in a military community, like there's a purpose for everything and everything is just intense. And my family's very intense outside of the military. Like it's just the way we roll. We're talking about like extremism, like we were talking about at lunch today. And so the first time I ever visited Europe, I was 16. And I just like remember initially being like freaked out by how slow everyone was going and like how, you know, the service was, quote, by America standards, like bad because they weren't like up your butt, like trying to get you out of the restaurant or something. And at first I was like put off by this. And the more I kept traveling and going overseas or, you know, even going to like slower places in the US and stuff like that, I realized like what a beautiful thing that is because they're not like rushing, like they're not like feeding on anxiety. So I just like started to try to adopt what I like refer to as the European lifestyle, which is just like so relaxed. And I recently went to Paris. I got back last week and it really made me slow down. Like they just like to indulge. They do work. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it's not working, but like there was just such a, I don't know, a focus or is such a focus in my opinion on like pleasures. So I've been trying to do more of that, which is actually the opposite of being structured, but you know.
Yeah. Well, I would love to be more like that. And I'm just not naturally like that. And it comes from a place of anxiety.
Yeah.
And then it's like how I've coped with anxiety and how I've set up my entire life.
Control, like you're controlling
exactly.
it. Yeah.
It's like I have control over my day. I have a lot more control over my mood because I'm able to like set it up to where I'm not going to get more anxious. But I want to be more relaxed. Like I was saying this earlier at lunch. I always say, like, how many times have I been like, I'm just getting over going out? Like, that's just such a lie. But, like, I'm like, I want a new house with more space because I need, well, few, like, work things, actually, I do need. But I really want it to have, like, a yard and to do more dinner parties and more things that I really like. And I'm like, I feel like I'm just kind of slowing down a little bit. And I have just always struggled, especially with, like, hustle culture.
Yeah.
Of feeling like I need to be doing something every 30 minutes. Like my calendar has to be booked. My calendar has to be full. And it's just like, it's actually counterproductive. It's not helpful.
Well, you want to be working smarter, not harder. That's one of my main things. And I also like, you do want to have time to enjoy yourself. And this is what I learned living with a significant other because even though I pride myself on living this European lifestyle and being like more of a procrastinator, I still do like get off on being busy. Like I just want to be doing something. Like I can't be just sitting there. I still am type A as much as I try not to be sometimes. But I've come a long way because when I was little, I used to very Even Stevens style. Ren Stevens, the oldest sister in that show, had a what are they called? Post-it note calendar. I had one of those at like 6 years old. I would have little check boxes and it'd be like 7 a.m. to 7:02 a.m. make bed. 7:02 a.m. to 7:05 go to the bathroom, wash hands, like walk
Brush
downstairs.
7:06.
Yeah. Literally, I wanted to control every inch because that was the anxiety, you know. But anyway, I've since settled. I do blame a lot of my settling from when I started drinking alcohol and going out and doing stuff, because like then you wake up in the morning and you just like, I don't know, you're focused on other things, you're hungover, whatever it is. But I am trying to relax in that way too, and I do understand that kind of thing comes from a place of fear and anxiety that like the time is going to pass and you can't control it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rather than just like relaxing. So I'm trying to learn how to relax in a controlled way. So like I'll say in my head, Sunday, I will relax on Sunday. Anything I get done on Sunday is extra, and I could get ahead for Monday, but Sunday is the relaxing day. And if I find myself going to do something productive, I'm like, stop.
Nope.
Lay down, watch Netflix. You know what I mean? Just try to just veg out.
As a kid growing up, like from elementary school to high school, like up until the point I started driving myself to school, my parents always talk about how they would come upstairs and turn the lights on and I would be fully dressed, ready. My breakfast is made. I have a backpack on and I'm like waiting for them to be up to then take me to school. Like I've always been this way, and it's not like, I feel like a lot of this sounds like annoying and like privileged and whatever. It's not from a place of like, oh, now I can relax. It's like, it is so anxiety driven and so fearful, and I think I've gotten so much better in the recent years, and like being in Texas definitely helps me because my schedule is just different there, but I still have that like core like, and I think also I do think a lot of it comes from hustle culture. I do have like these thoughts in my head where I'm like, you're not doing enough, you need to be up, you need to be doing this, or like honestly being in LA stresses me out to I cannot even to an extreme level of like, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Are you working? And like, there's obviously so many people who are, but I'm just like, it's so slow. Like, what do you guys?
I thought Dallas was way more slow.
I don't feel that way at all because I control my schedule. So like, I can do whatever. But I also, all of my friends are hard workers. So like, I actually think my friends in Dallas work a lot harder
than here. We just also have weird hours. It depends on your job. Like, I think, like for example, this job, it's easy to come in here and talk for an hour on a mic. Like, it's not that difficult. You do have to have something to say. So you have to be like, you have to have some level of talent or be somewhat interesting in order to like host a show of your own. The time commitment isn't as heavy, right? But it did take a lot of time to get to this point where you could do this now. But the commitment to, I guess, when you're on a mic, you can't like zone out and do like administrative work right now. Like, you're going to have to be on and engaged. And also you share so much of yourself. So there's so much like emotional toll that it takes and just like mental toll. It's a different kind of work. You know what I mean? Because this is you and your identity is your entire job. Does that ever scare you? Because it started to like, it doesn't scare me because I chose this, but like, it is interesting when you have so much wrapped up into your career that's not just how you make your money.
No, it does scare me. It's also like, but I more so just get so annoyed of myself. Like, I'm over myself. You know, like, it just gets, that's why like working in the O-Kind is so nice, because I have something else. But even then it's like, I'm the face a lot of the time, or like I'm involved. Like, I just want something that isn't me, but also it's great because it's like fun and cool and you can get to connect with people. It's great when you're going through things as you realize that everyone else is going through the exact same thing. Like, there's so many pros, but the part of it being like largely about me, I'm just over.
It's hard not to be bored of yourself. I mean, it's hard not to be bored of yourself when you're not doing something public. Like, I noticed this at a young age. I was a weird child. My mom would be like, Payton, don't you think you look beautiful today? And I'm like, I see where you're coming from, but like, I look at myself every day. So like, I no longer am like, wow, like gorgeous, which, you know, I can tell that I'm a pretty, and if you look, do your makeup in the mirror or something, you can tell, but it's just not something that like you just get bored. Like that's an example of me being bored of myself at an early age, and I wasn't even like making a job about talking about my life yet. So I think it's easy for anyone to be bored of themselves, but you have to have a certain level of delusion, I think, to do the job that we're doing.
Yes.
But then again, when you start, you don't realize it's going to take this level of delusion, but you're already here. So you're like, well, fuck it. I got to get back on a mic and talk for another hour about my life.
Yeah.
I better find something to talk about because other people seem to like it. Obviously, you're doing a really good job. So you have to like trick yourself. It's kind of like the imposter syndrome thing a little bit, you know?
The certain level of delusion is so true.
Because that's what it takes to override imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because if you're normal, you're going to have imposter syndrome. So you have to be like, all right, well, my option is I don't do this anymore. And all of this work that I've been putting in, I just quit for whatever reason.
Like, what do you want me to
because
do?
I'm going to let it beat me. Or I'm just going to trick myself and be delusional and be like, you're interesting. Like figure something interesting out to say up
You
there.
have something to say.
Please just say something. It takes delusion a little bit.
Sometimes like last week, well, honestly, this is how I've noticed alcohol affecting me recently, is I had like a little bit of a bender of a weekend and I did so much in such a short span of time.
Yeah.
And I always do a lot, but I like took it too far. And I hadn't in a while. Like I had calmed down a little bit and I was, you know, being like, a lot more chill, which is not something that naturally comes to me at all. So I am not kidding, Payton, and it was Thursday before I had an actual thought that entered my head. I had nothing to say. I had nothing to do. And sometimes, like, I think the YouTube aspect of it as well, like, I made myself go down to one video a week because, like, I have nothing, like, I do the exact same thing every day. I don't film a lot of my life. I do the same shit all the time. And people like my vlogs because normally of what I have to say. And, like, I have not a single thought has entered my brain in, like, 4 days, you know?
Like, this was you were hungover for 4 days, basically.
I mean, yeah, I honestly, it was like a lingering, like, mental hangover.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
To where my brain fog just gets so bad and I have nothing to say. And if I'm not, I like love morning pages and I talk about that all the time. You know what morning pages is? For any listener who doesn't know, I talk about it all the time. So it would be shocking if you didn't. You wake up and you write for 3 pages, like as soon as you wake up. And the idea of it is that it helps a lot with anxiety. It gives you more vision, more clarity, whatever. If I'm not doing that, I'm like, I'm like, I don't have any new thoughts. I don't have like a new revelation to share. Like I don't have I have nothing.
So what are you doing? Like administrative work? Like how are you keeping yourself busy?
Well, I still have to do everything else besides like the creative, or like if it's a video I still have to like vlog my day, but I will literally be like, I have no thoughts, guys, I'm sorry, I'm not like, and that's also what I realized people like, you know?
Well, I just like find myself rambling when I'm hungover, and I think that I kind of like that too. Like I really want to do a hungover episode because who knows where that could go. And I mean, I think it's more interesting when people are hungover because you're controlling what you're saying less. Because you don't have anything in your brain. And sometimes people like when you just say stupid stuff. Like everyone has those feelings of being hungover and just like talking about nothing with their friends. I feel like that's actually like kind of fun to
I agree.
To record.
My hangovers are just so debilitating that like when I say I don't get out of bed for the entire day.
Oh yeah, I feel that.
It is so bad.
Wait, I want to do one literally from my bed, just like with a mic.
Yeah, that's smart.
Horizontal.
Here's the thing with me though, when I'm hungover, I either have so much to say or such bad anxiety that I can't even, it's like debilitating. Like I have not a single thought has entered my brain.
Okay, so we're not doing benders anymore.
No.
Okay.
I can't. I mean, I say that, you know, it'll take like a special occasion.
Yes.
But I'm back on the ranch. I'm back. I need like a slow lifestyle. That's why I was asking about the European lifestyle.
Yes.
Because I need to like enjoy my life more. Like even the thought of going to and this is coming from people who like, I mean, obviously we both control our schedules.
Yeah.
Even the thought of like going to a lunch in the middle of the day gives me such bad, like I guilt myself.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like, what?
Well, I will say when I lived in Dallas, because I went straight from here to living in Dallas, and my work life changed definitely. Like I was doing a lot more admin and stuff like that, and I had a lot less distraction. Because here it's like there's always an event. There's always someone to meet with. You can always come in the studio or be on someone else's podcast. And when I was there, I was more just like working, like computer work. I would sit down and do computer work all day, and then like go try to shoot something or, you know, whatever it was. But here, a lot of my work doesn't really feel like work, but I will say it helps me in the long run. So like if I'm going to like a brand event and I make a good connection with someone, then I get a deal with that brand the next week. It wasn't because of all the hard work I did on the computer. It's because of my proximity to the event and me clicking with someone and them keeping me top of mind, which is the beauty of being here that I forgot when I moved away.
Yeah, it's also, even if you get nothing out of it, I think it's good for you mentally, and then it puts you in a better space, and then you end up, you know. But I just, even when I lived here, I like didn't want to go to that stuff. I didn't want to, you know, like, and I'm not in a place where I feel like I have to. I just don't care.
You have to be more picky and choosy. For me, I definitely, I've decided I don't go to events where I won't have an opportunity to sit down and talk to anyone, whether it be someone who works for the brand or another person attending the event, and like talk to someone and actually have like a really good conversation. So like cocktail hours, things like that, unless it's like a dream brand or something, I just say no to, because I really am like dying after you know, work for yourself digitally so much. I'm like dying for like an actual connection with a human being. If I'm going to be doing that stuff, you know.
Do you think you've just become a lot more selective with your time in your 20s?
Yeah, I definitely have. I would say like when it comes to anything, like friends, like boys, anything like that, work, absolutely. I do value spending time by myself, and I also value, like we were talking about, like setting up your day. I have certain goals I'm trying to like attain, and also like I want to keep my anxiety in check, my depression in check. So I have to do things day to day that like I build in my schedule, like to be active or be in the sun or whatever that is. And those are my priorities. So otherwise, like filling in like, oh, I have a free day on Wednesday, like I could go to lunch with someone. But I want to be specific about who that person is too, because I could also just do lunch by myself and like watch Netflix or something. I don't know. But at 29, yes, I would say like super specific, and even more so, I think, with friends.
Okay, I wanted to talk about this because I'm 25 and I go to Payton for all of my advice. What is your advice around this time period with friendships?
So when I was 25, I will say, so I have my best friends from like college, right? Like my friends that I will call for anything, my friends from home who would just like always pull through if I'm having a hard time. Like I just had a conversation with one of my best friends, Maggie, from like when we were 12, and we were best friends all through high school. Didn't go to college together, but I had a conversation with her about just like my life, and like getting off the phone with her, I felt so much more energized, and it kind of helped me like turn a corner. And like I was sad about something, and like she just said exactly what I needed to hear, because, and the reason for that is because she's one of my best friends and has known me since I was 12. My friends from college, same thing. And I've met a couple people here in LA throughout the years that fall into that category. But when I was here, when I was 25, I always say it's like one of the best years of my life, the best year of my life up until very recently. I had the best time hanging out with a bunch of people that I knew probably weren't going to be in my life for a super long time. I was going out, I was having a good time. I was finally made enough money to like travel a little bit, and like we weren't like traveling, like we were not like fancy traveling, but enough to like actually buy a plane ticket out of the country and be gone for a while, and had a little bit of freedom doing that. And I was with the most fun people I could have been with in that scenario, but that doesn't mean I had to hang on to them forever. You know what I mean? Like they weren't meant to come with me in my next phase of life, but my crazy fun 20s, kind of like at 25, especially into 26, my brain just like, I became a different person. So I had like almost like a blowout year, and then 26 really quickly like was like, this is what I want, and moved forward in a very specific path that year. Settled down a lot more. I wouldn't say too much more, but like a lot more than before. And it was hard to lose those friendships, but I also just realized, like looking back, I did become a different person, and I am really appreciative for those people in my life. And I don't like hate them, or there's no like actual bad blood there on my side, but like you kind of just have to let people go when you don't align anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I have that issue. Like sometimes I'm like, I just know. Well, I have like the greatest friends in the world. Like I've always been pretty lucky when it comes to friendships, but specifically in the past couple of years, I have the best friendships, not even in Dallas, but my friends here, my friends in New York, my friends even in Nashville. Like I just have the best friends. But I know historically I've always had this issue of like letting go of friendships. Because I just don't want to. Like at the end of the day, it's not even that, oh, like I don't like change. No, like I want, if I'm friends with you, I want to stay friends with you forever. And that's just not realistic.
That's how I am, because I get attached and I will do anything to make stuff work. Right. For me, at 24, 25, I thought I had the best friends in the entire world too. And here's the thing, at the time, for what I was going through and for all of us at the same level, I did. We were the best friends here in LA. I've always, again, I want to say, like, my friends from home, still the best fucking people on the planet. The people I call when something's going wrong or whatever. But like, for my going out days in LA, for, you know, working all week and then going out on the weekends, like, I had the best people around me at that time in my life. It was hard to have friend breakups. It was hard to like move on from people, and it still hurts. It hurts as much, if not more, than like a regular breakup. Right. But I also look back on that period of my life and think, okay, I'm really grateful that they were there. Those people were there, but also I'm really grateful that they exited my life at the time that they did. But that only takes perspective. You know what I mean? And I know that I did a lot to try to make friendships work when I wanted them to. And if they didn't work out, like, there's nothing you can really do about that. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just have to let go and let someone else do their own thing for a little while. You know?
At what point do you think it's time to let it go?
Any animosity, jealousy, judgment, and not judgment in the way that your friends are going to be like, you're fucking stupid. Like, obviously we all tell each other we're stupid all day because we all do stupid stuff. But I mean, like, someone being judgmental or jealous, or I don't know, like, I have a tendency to, for example, not really, when I'm going out, I don't go out for a purpose. So like, I'm not like going out usually to like see one specific guy or going out to, you know, do whatever. Like, me and my friends would just go out and see what happens, just like have a good time. You know what I mean? But some girls I used to go out with would go out with an actual purpose, and it would be like, we were her auxiliary friends to go out with because she needed hot girls to go out with to bring to like a guy's house or whatever. When I started realizing that's who I was to people, like that I was almost like an accessory, and if I actually like needed something, or if I needed understanding, or if I needed like a true connection, that's an example of something that I would have to leave. You know what I mean? Because those also aren't your friends when you get into a relationship, because you can't be used anymore, or, you know, whatever it is. So, I mean, make sure you're friends with someone that's not just like a convenience thing. That was it. That was a convenience friendship, you know, for both of us, me and this other person. And then also, again, the jealousy can't happen. That's pretty easy to spot. Anyone who lies, like, I don't do liars. Like,
Same.
I don't do like compulsive liars, at least. And that's just not for me. Anyone who blows up, like, is really overly emotional, because I've dealt with that a lot in my life too, where like I take care of someone who's really unstable emotionally, because I can remain calm in those situations. That's something I vowed to never deal with in a friendship as well. Just like the extra drama. I think once you get older, you start realizing like, I don't need the extra drama at all.
Yeah, it's nothing about it.
Especially not from people I'm not having sex with. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Relationships can be dramatic. Like, I'm not like, I don't even deal with that in my relationships. So like, I can't imagine doing that more with friendships. Friend drama is just not, I don't have drama with my friendships that I have in my life at this point. Like, there's nothing to be dramatic. There's no drama to be had. Yeah. If any of us has an issue with the other person, it's an immediate, like, why are you acting this way? Hey, you're making me feel like this, or whatever. It's not like a fight. Oh God. Like an argument. You know what I mean?
So most of the friendships that are the ones that I just know will last are my friends from home, which conveniently are my friends now because I live in Dallas. Yeah. And then also, like, I have 3 or 4 from college, and I had my class at one, I had a weird college experience. Yeah. And 2, we had 30 kids in our school. So I feel like that's like a good amount. Yeah. Honestly. That is. Especially the pool that I was in. But it's like Dom and Ryan are my 2 best friends from college, and we will be, like, I just like have full confidence that we'll just be friends forever. Yeah. But even like being here, sometimes I'm like, I just feel like, not like, no, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I've just caught myself recently where if I'm in friendships that are just not sometimes I feel like I'm giving more than I'm ever receiving, or it's draining to me, or we're just we think very differently, or like they can't do any sort of like conflict, or there's no like depth to the friendship. So I'm like, I already like, I don't need, you know.
Well, here's the thing. I think you need to have in those situations, if you're not meeting friends, going through something together. So like when you're at home, when you're in middle school, high school, like you're growing up with somebody, you know that person and you're going through something with them. You go to college, you have the college experience with somebody, like those are oftentimes going to be your best friends. I met my best college friend move-in day of freshman year because we went through everything in college together. The first time anyone lives by themselves, we were all like, it was such a thing. So for now, when I meet friends in normal day-to-day life where like there's not anything big going on that they were like getting over together, I always need what I think of as friend chemistry. Like, you know, when you can just sit down with somebody and talk to them forever as if you've known them forever, that's friend chemistry in my opinion. And you don't always get that with people. Like sometimes it's hard to make conversation, or things are awkward, or you aren't on the same page, which you don't always have to be, but like there is a certain level of chemistry that I feel with certain people that I'm like, okay, I would definitely hang out with that person again, because it was just easy. Like it made my day better. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to like set up a friend date and then it's awkward and it's obvious, like it's not even like, you can be in two different phases of life of someone and still have friend chemistry, but like there's just some people you just don't click with, and you're not always going to click with everybody. That it wouldn't even make sense. It doesn't mean you have to be mean to anybody. It just means like maybe you don't be best friends with everyone you meet. You know what I mean?
Well, even like friend chemistry, it like gives you like a certain level of closeness that like going through, you know, going like college, school, breakups, things like that. Like,
it's the only thing that can supplement actually going through something with someone is having that same like just actual chemistry. Like you would have chemistry with a romantic partner, you have chemistry with friends as well. Yeah. You know?
Actually, yeah.
So there's only a few people that usually fit that mold. And I've met a couple. I would say like right now I'm focusing more on being able to travel to see my friends that are my close friends, and like making time to like go on trips with them or go back to Texas and see them, or like make sure to like hop on FaceTime with them as much as possible. And then also like, you know, maintaining my friendships here as much as possible, which I will say a lot of my people, like my best friends from here have moved. A lot of them have. People I hung out with them all of my 20s have left LA because it's a very transient place. So now most of my friends that I've had for a long time in LA are like my friend Iman. When I met her when I was in college interning here. And she is from LA. So like most of my friends who are still here are actually like born and raised in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so they're not leaving.
They're not leaving. Like I looked around at my birthday dinner and I was like, oh my God, all of you are born and raised in Los Angeles because you're the only ones left.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I think that's like really good advice though, and something that I've been thinking about a lot this week, just because I came in early to spend time with Dom and Ryan, is that like those are always the friendships that I would just rather invest in more versus a lot, especially like going out, like where I'm in a phase of going out. It's like our circle is quite literally 30 to 35 people right now. Yeah. Like we are regularly with 30 people, you know? So it's like at the end of the day, I don't want to like spend so much time that I like lose the actual friendship. Like sometimes I just find myself like not being as good of a friend, or like doing my own thing, or not paying attention, or you know what I mean, just because I'm busy.
I did that also around 25, 26. I would go out I'd say 23 to 26 ish. I would go out with a big huge group here, and it was so fun. All of that, since then a lot of people from that group have, because of work, moved away, like done all the things, but we had a huge group of guys and girls that would go out, and I realized like I would show up for my stuff for my friends in Texas, but like I wasn't, because I was so busy here and had so many like friendships and fun things to do here, I didn't spend as much time with those friends. I will say my Texas friends were like, they aren't like offended, they're like do whatever you want, like we'll be friends forever, it's fine. But I just realized getting older, especially lately, I'm like I'd rather, you know, book a flight to Houston and go hang out with my friend Laurel for the weekend than maybe go out a Friday, Saturday to Bungalow here. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to focus more on those friends, and then otherwise like trying to be healthy, because I can't, the hangovers again.
Yeah, it's
really hard.
It is so bad.
And it has to be worth it.
I get IVs now. Before.
Really? Do you think they work?
Yes.
Okay.
1000%.
Before though?
Yeah. So I mean, I've gotten them like emergency after before in the past, and it worked. Yeah. But like getting it before.
Okay.
And you still get drunk. Like you're still like drinking, but it's just the next day. It is so much better.
I don't really know what I'm doing. Probably like on Friday I'll go get an IV. I just hate.
I get them Friday mornings normally because I'll go to like the sauna and stuff, and it's at the same place.
Yeah.
But do you hate needles?
Hate needles.
Yeah, just look the other way. It sucks because it's there for a bit.
Yeah,
it's like 30 minutes to an
Well,
hour.
I'm okay with needles. I have had one situation recently-ish where I was getting blood drawn, and I passed out.
Yeah, my mom always says that.
Yeah, it was bad, but I feel like the IVs, it's going in.
Yeah, so it's better.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm also like re-entering my dating era. I've decided very recently. I'm actually texting boys back.
Yes.
That's huge for me. The fact that they even have my phone number is crazy.
Wow. Did you give it to them like in public or like on an app or?
Yeah, in public.
Okay.
On an app. Yeah.
Okay.
All of the above.
All right, cool.
I've been doing all the things. And something that Payton has actually always told me. I have a history. Not all the guys I've dated, but like I'm naturally attracted to like the loudest guy in the room, the one who's like borderline obnoxious, the like craziest partier,
The most obvious one,
doing so many drugs in the bathroom. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I need to not. I'm realizing that that's absolutely not the person that I should be dating in the personality type. So who do you think I should be dating?
So it's not necessarily like you shouldn't be dating him, because those guys can be fun too, and they could be great partners and, you know, all the things. It just depends on how much they level out, especially when you want to get married and have kids and stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
I love safety. And as an anxious person, I need someone who puts my anxiety at ease. So in a relationship, I need consistency. Like I need someone who is going to, their words and their actions are going to line up. That reliability is absolutely key for me. And because it creates like a stability and I know what's coming next. So my anxiety is not getting the best of me. And then someone who makes me feel like physically safe. And usually for me, the loudest person in the room, in my opinion, usually translates, especially with men, to being the most insecure.
Yes.
And that doesn't make me feel safe. So I need someone, it doesn't need to be like the strong, silent person in the corner, but just like someone who's comfortable with themselves, who can get along with my friends and family and things, but like isn't going overboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like putting you in fight or flight. Literally.
Putting me in fight or flight.
Yeah.
I want to avoid fight or flight at all costs.
At all costs.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because in therapy recently, I was talking to my therapist and she was like, what is it about these people, though, that you are attracted to? And I was like, I think even though I know that they're incredibly insecure, a lot of them, not all of them.
Yeah.
All the ones that I've dated pretty much, though, like, even though for whatever reason, I think I've, like, in guys, confused confidence in being, like, having a loud personality. And it's just not the same. And if anything, they typically are the most insecure ones because they need the validation and they need the attention.
Men who need validation and attention from everyone, especially women. I'm like, I think I have a good radar for that kind of thing, though. I think that I notice it really quickly, and I've never been interested in a guy like that. Like I've met actually good guys who are like that, but there's something about that makes me feel really unsafe.
Yeah.
And I don't trust it. And like, you know, on an instinctual gut level, you know, when you trust someone, because that's something I have to have too. Like I have to have like not a trust that I'm trying to force, a trust that I like truly feel in my gut. You know what I mean? And that kind of person usually does not lead me to that level of trust.
What it is too is it's like some weird comfort thing because I don't feel safe. And it's from like, I remember someone telling me this years ago and they were like, when you grow up in a turbulent environment, you subconsciously look for that in relationships. Yeah. So when you're experiencing like turbulence in a relationship, it weirdly feels safe and comfortable to you, even though it's not, and you actually are experiencing fight or flight. Yeah. And you don't feel safe and you don't feel any of those things, but because it's more comfortable to you, because it's what you know, that's why I kept going back to that.
See, I always did that with friends. So like I always had the craziest, loudest, like my friends have always been like, I will say all of my friends, including right now, are all characters and they're all very much themselves. Like in my opinion, all my best friends, there is not a singular person like any of them in the world. Like they're just so, they know themselves. But for a long time, especially during my party days, I was definitely more drawn to people who were like the life of the party and like very tumultuous in a way because of that. I think because you're used to a certain level of chaos sometimes, or like up and down emotions. And so that always manifested in my friendships. But when it comes to relationships, I have never gone for that kind of guy.
Good for you.
Which is interesting. Because I mean, but the thing is, I understand why that's exciting. Like my guy friends are like that. But even with my guy friends, that makes me feel unsafe. I don't know what it is about men being so all over the place. It just makes me feel stressed. Like even more so than like my female friends. But yeah, I don't, the crazy life of the party guy just has never been my thing. But you know, plenty of those guys get married too, and I'm sure they have great relationships. So you can't really like generalize everyone, you know?
It's just not right for me, I think.
Yeah. Well, you're very social, and I do think that there is something to maybe not polar opposites, but like opposites, like kind of being able to balance each other out in a certain way, I think is a really good thing. And I was telling TK this too, because I'm like, she's very social. I'm like, I could so see her with just like someone super calm.
I know. And
you know,
we've talked about this, and the thing that for whatever, I just feel like, then this is horrible to say.
Are you gonna get bored?
Not bored. I think I just like, and I need to phrase this well.
Okay.
So like, I'm like, I just, something about a guy who is super shy and quiet, I just feel like I'm going to like run all over them, and I almost like don't.
Well, you don't need to go super shy and quiet. Like those are the two extremes. Like
yeah, that's true.
You
Classic.
gotta classic. Like go for someone who's normal, like someone who can like freaking have a conversation, but like doesn't need to scream the loudest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like who can sit down and be sweet and kind and charming in a certain way. Even though charming is one thing I don't trust either.
Yeah.
But like in a kind way charming, not like a trickster kind of charm, like a fuckboy charm, but like that can get along with people, because you want to be able to bring him places where, and he's not like in the corner shy by himself, but you also don't need the guy who's doing like keg stands at your friend's wedding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you want that. I have some guy friends like that. They're really fun, but at the end of the night, you're like, please get away from me.
Yeah,
You're stressing me out.
I think I really do feel like I'm growing up recently. The past couple months, I'm having I turned 25 and my brain was fully formed.
It's happening.
And things just changed.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I don't want, like, and also I think I'm just like kind of tired. I've been in like a similar phase the past like 2 years, and I'm kind of like ready for a change.
Yeah.
I think that's also why I'm like ready for a new house. Like I'm just like ready for something, and I'm so happy with my life. It's not that I'm like, I don't feel like I'm like missing something. I feel like I'm just ready for the next like chapter, whereas I didn't before.
Evolve. Like your 20s, I think it's kind of like your teens. Like the person you are from, 13 to who you are when you're 18 years old is, I mean, fucking world different. Yeah. And the decade of your 20s, I mean, I'm 29 right now. I just turned 29 last month. I've become maybe 3-4 different people since I was 20. So you just change so much, and when you feel like you need to evolve, then that means you need to take the next step into like who you are next, in your 20s, because you're going to be so many different people in your life, like, but in your 20s it's a lot. I
already feel like I've had like 7 different personalities and phases. It's also interesting like changing in your 20s, because people who have known me my whole life are like, you are also the exact same. It's like, I don't know how I'm so wildly different, but I'm like the exact same at the same time.
Yeah. I'm like that for sure. I have always been really shy and like hid myself away a lot when I was younger. So my best friends who are close to me know me really well. And they're like, okay, so you're just exactly like you are, but now you just do it in front of a lot of different people. Because before it was only like I would be myself around my family and my really close friends. And that's basically all the people that saw my personality, because I was always really shy. And then having a platform and like challenging myself to show up on the internet, which is kind of a cop-out, because you really just show up by yourself in your own house with your camera or like with your iPhone or whatever, but you're blasting it out to the internet, which it gave me like such a weird confidence that I always have with friends and family, but now I have it day to day, like with basically anybody through this job.
Yeah.
It's been so weird. So I'm like still the same person, but like I act completely different because I do myself in front of everyone rather than just like my teeny little audience.
Yeah.
That I had, friends and family back home and stuff.
It's almost like it was like practice in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
It like gives you, I don't know. I just think I think about my 5 years in LA, and I went through, I was 3 or 4 different people.
Yeah.
Like completely different. And I used to like really not like that and be like, why does there have to be such drastic change? And I do think a lot of my like changing from extremes was like me unhealed and like trauma responses.
Yeah. Because you're like, I don't like this one, so I'm gonna do this one now.
Yeah. Or like I would date guys who were like the complete opposites. Like when I'm like, I don't have a type besides like the loudest. That's just because that's like the common theme in my life and what I've liked. And I've dated complete opposites. But I would go, it's like, I'm like on a ping pong ball. Like I'm like going back and forth. And it's totally, I don't know. I'm like, I'm trying to find middle ground.
That's you trying to find yourself though. And that's totally normal. There's a quote, I can't remember who said it because I saw it on Pinterest, but I have it saved on my Pinterest. It's like one of my favorites. And it says basically like, how many people do you have to be until you can become yourself?
Yeah. And
I actually like posted on Instagram somewhat recently because that quote always stuck with me, especially through my late teens and early 20s and to now into my late 20s. I think it's finally resonated a lot now because I'm becoming myself and I feel I don't know everything about myself, but like I know a lot now at this point and I am more than I did before. And I really have become so many people, but that put it in perspective for me that's normal. Like people just do that. You experiment, you try to figure out, you see other people doing stuff. You're like, maybe this is who I am. Maybe this is who I am. And like, you do have to try on different hats to figure out who you are sometimes. And then once you try on all the hats, you realize I don't really need to fit myself into this character or this hat. Like I'm unique and I'm me and I'm going to have all these other different things that are happening. It's not it becomes not like putting a hat on anymore. It's just like, you have to just create yourself in a sense, if that makes sense.
That just reminded me of a quote that I thought of earlier in the episode, but I forgot to say, and I'm gonna butcher it, but the idea was true success is like an open calendar or a free calendar and not having your calendar like run you. Like you should have time open in the day. So it's interesting when I believe that, but then
your fear and your anxiety tells you need to have a full calendar.
And then it like goes, it's like back and forth constantly. But again, I think it's just, maybe I am just like working on moderation.
I'm like that too. I get it because anxiety will make you go flip flop back and forth to extremes because you're an intense person. I've been an intense person my whole life. And slowing down and being patient, that's what I'm working on this year is just patience and letting for lack of a better, phrase, letting the universe kind of guide me in a sense rather than trying to force things all the time exactly how I want them, like letting life surprise me. And I've never really opened room or had room open for life to surprise me because I've controlled every second of every day. And the more that I relax and kind of just like let go of control sometimes, especially when you're in a place that you're going to pay your bills, you don't need to like, hustling is good and everyone needs to hustle to, the extent that makes them comfortable to allow you to afford your lifestyle. But when you reach a certain point where you don't need to live in fear like that all the time, which was hard for me to learn because, when I first started this job, I was living paycheck to paycheck and it made me like seeing nothing in my bank account made me nervous and it made me have a really bad relationship with my bank account for a really long time. But at this point in my life, I make sure that I force myself to check it. I look at it. I'm like, you're going to be okay if you don't do this today or if you don't do that today, like, or you can say no to this if you want to, just to challenge myself to slow down and allow open space where I'm not controlling because there's so much that could happen, like so many cool, amazing things that can happen when you're not trying to actively control every moment of every day. You know what I mean?
Yes. I was talking about this actually with Ryan last night. I'm like, it's interesting because the things that like can confidently say at this point in my time, I am living like my dream life. I have my dream career. I have the best people around me. I'm very happy. I have a great relationship with myself. But if you would have told me at like 22 that this would be my life now, I wouldn't have wanted that. Like I wouldn't have been like, that's what I want. Or like even 17 to 22. It's like, now I'm trying to like get past, like, drill into my head the thought of, like, maybe I actually don't know what I want, and it's okay. And that can translate into so many different aspects, but it's like, I don't know everything, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, even if I feel like I do have a better relationship, I do know myself better now than I did prior. I'm just trying to, like, almost, like, live life with an open hand.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what actually will end up being the best. And oftentimes the things that I didn't even realize I wanted are the things that make me the happiest.
Yes.
And, like, have fulfilled me the most. Or, like, even certain friendships, it's a really good example of people that I would have never even thought that we would have, like, clicked or connected are, like, my best friends in the world.
Yeah.
And so I just try to live, like, more open, big picture. I struggle more with, like, controlling the smaller things, I think, which end up making the big things. But the, like, big picture idea, also it's helpful that, like, we're in digital and digital's changing all the time. So, like, 5-year plan, good luck. Like, you don't know what it's going to be in 5 years.
Yeah.
Things, like, will probably, the thing that will be the biggest thing in 5 years probably doesn't exist right now.
Yeah.
So I think that helps me because, like, I don't have a choice.
Yeah. I think it's good to have a loose, I mean, if you would ask me 5 years ago, I'd be like, this is exactly what's happening. Here's my 10-year plan. Like, this is what's, like, because everyone says you need these plans, right? And now I'm like, listen, there are certain things that I want. I don't know how they're going to happen. We're going to have to see, because I can't control everything. And I feel like I've just loosened my grip on, like, a very specific vision, because, again, like you said, the vision I had for myself 5 years ago is honestly smaller than what I know now to exist.
Yeah.
And if had I held on to that, I feel like my life would be much smaller. And I wouldn't have done some of the cool stuff that I've done because I hadn't planned, like, I just was planning from what I already knew. And because you don't know anything or don't even really know a lot, none of us do, you kind of start kind of pigeonholing yourself and putting yourself in a position where you're not able to grow because you're trying to control everything around you so much, and you're not putting yourself in an environment full of things that can surprise you or teach you something because you're trying to, like, fit yourself in a certain mold, you know?
And you're just shrinking yourself, like, day by day. Even, I think the most obvious for me in, like, my past couple of years of things that I thought I really wanted, there's certain friendships that I no longer have. Thank God, because I would be a different person. I wouldn't be where I'm at. I would have allowed a lot of the stuff to, like, rub off on me. Relationships that, like, thank God we broke up.
Yeah.
Multiple, not just one. That it's like, I'm so much better off. But at the time I was, like, so set on wanting that. So anytime I'm, like, stressing out about things or thinking, like, really holding on to something too tightly, I always think about, there's, like, 2 relationships and, like, 1 friendship that I'll go back to and think, like, thank God that's not
happening.
But
what's so interesting is, like, anxiety, and I've talked about this a lot on my podcast, I talk about this in my normal life with my friends. Your anxiety can feel like, in those moments when you're going through those things, it can feel like it's the end of the world, because your anxiety sparks, like, fear, you know what I mean, of, like, the unknown, and, you know, this person, you're attached to this person, like, it is very anxiety inducing, and your anxiety feels really real. Like, it can feel like your gut intuition, you know what I mean? And it's not. You have to be able to realize, like, when life is steering you a certain way, and it's gonna maybe, yes, you realize that you're having anxiety about this and you're having anxiety about the future, and instead of trying to control it or hold on or change it, you just, like, notice it's anxiety. Notice that anxiety is formulated in your head. It's not real. And like, just let life show you what happens next. And that's my biggest thing right now, is I'm like, okay, what happens next? Because every time I let go, I think something more amazing happens in my life, but it just takes getting over the fear of, like, all right, like, let go and, like, let's see what goes on.
Yeah, you have to get through the initial bump of, like, not trying to go back to your old life, whatever that is.
Well, because there's also the quote that says, like, your new life is going to cost you your old one.
Yeah.
You have to, if you want to level up in certain ways, I've just learned, like, you know, you might lose friends, you might lose a career, you might lose, you know, whatever it is that you're losing, that can be very transformative in a sense, you know, but you have to just figure out, again, like, who are you connecting with and who do you want around you for your new life? And if someone's leaving your life, maybe they don't leave forever, maybe they just leave for a little bit, but you have to be able to discern, Am I going to hold on to this because, let's say the friendship thing, am I going to hold on to this because this is one of my best friends and I really care? Like if one of my best friends from college tried to leave my life, I'd be like, fuck no.
Yeah, I'd be like, nice try.
It's been like 10 years. Yeah. We're not doing this. And to me, that would be worth obviously fighting for, but or is it something that you're trying to fight for and hold on to because you're anxious and you've known this person, you've created an attachment, like, you know.
Yeah. I used to have that thought in my head all the time. Like, is this anxiety or is it my intuition? And now when I have that, I feel like I can differentiate it a lot better because a lot of my emotional turbulence has settled and gotten better. But also, I always just think, like, when you're acting out of anxiety, you're acting out of fear.
And ego,
yeah. Yes. So I'm like, what are my, like, intentions behind this thought? Or if I was going to, like, make this move, or am I, you know, like, whatever it is. That's how I try to. But even then, I still am like, sometimes I don't fucking know. Like, I'm like, it really is tricky.
Anxiety does control so many decisions too. I mean, this controls, like, if I'm stopping at the red light, or if I'm you don't have time to be like, okay, is it my intuition? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but big things, I feel like they take a second look, at. But that's something that I have not mastered that art yet, but it's something that I've definitely noticed in my life and the lives of people that I care about, like how debilitating anxiety can be and how much it could feel like a gut instinct. Yeah. Because it is fear. I mean, that's like built in us for a reason, because we used to like live in the wild. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's built in for a reason, but it's just now we don't really have as much use for it in terms of like running away from a bear, you know.
Yeah, the bears are not running after us, hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Depends where you're at.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this has been a great episode.
Yeah, I loved it.
Thanks for having, or why am I saying thanks for having it? Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Where can they find you?
You can find me on social media everywhere at Payton Sartain. That's Payton Sartain. Looks like Sartain. It's pronounced Sartain. So that's Instagram and TikTok. And then I have a podcast called Note to Self by Payton Sartain. It's also a Dear Media podcast. And I'll have to have you on soon, whenever you're back.
Amazing. I'm like,
if you're ever going to be back.
Honestly, it's like up in the air at this
you're
point.
Like, maybe not.
I'm like, it's like, I really try to.
Yeah.
Try my best.
I need to actually go to Dallas because I have that storage unit and I need to get my stuff out of it. So maybe I'll be back.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know by giving it a nice thumbs up and subscribe for more.